Welcome to this Acumatica tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at material requirements planning, as well as production orders and critical materials. So to begin, we're going to actually start with our stock items form, which can be found in the inventory module under profiles, as well as using the universal search bar at the top. And this is going to allow us to look at a few details for a specific stock item. So I'm in my demo company here, and we're going to be taking a look at the Keurig item today. So we can, of course, just navigate down here on our list and find our Keurig Model 450. And we're going to see all of our different tabs here for various settings. But if we go to our manufacturing tab, we're going to have a few pieces of information here that are going to be important to know. So down here in our replenishment section, we have our source of this item. So in this case, we are manufacturing it. That's good to know if we're going to be manufacturing it or purchasing it for a few of the different processes that we're going to go through during this tutorial. We see our safety stock is 20. We could define a reorder point if we want. In this case it's 0, but we could always override that and define a new reorder point here. We have a minimum order quantity, and we could also define a max order quantity if we wanted to do so. And then we have a lot size and lead time. So those are all good to know for any items that we're going to be taking a look at today, but we'll stick with this Keurig model for consistency. Next, we can navigate to our bill of material, and that's going to allow us to look a little bit deeper at what this Keurig is and what it's composed of. So we see we have our Keurig model here, so we can click on this bill of material number 5. And this is going to show us all of the different materials down here that make up this Keurig. So we see we have a reservoir inlet, a printed circuit board, purifying filter, water reservoir, and housing. We see the quantity required for each of those, the unit costs. So that's going to be important to know what pieces we may need as we go to manufacture this Keurig. Alright, so now we can go ahead and create a production order. So we're going to go to the production order module here, and we can click on this tile to create a new production order. We're going to create it for our Keurig. We can give it a description. We can then go ahead and select our quantity to produce. So let's say we want to make 25 Keurigs in this example. You then have your scheduling method if you want to pick start on, finish on, or user dates. We have a constraint here, which is defaulting to today's date. A couple different checkboxes, costing method, and a few of those other settings down here. You also have some event history, as well as if you want to define any custom attributes on this tab here, and then any totals, so you can have a breakdown of labor time, comparing plan versus actual, and then of course the variance. So that's a quick look at this production order maintenance screen. But once we go ahead and save it, we're going to now be able to go to our inquiries and navigate to our critical material. Now what this is going to do is show us that we have this printed circuit board component that we saw on the bill of material, and we are short 25 of them. So we need 25, but we don't have any in stock right now, or any in inventory, so we have 0 available. So we're going to need to go ahead and produce those. Now we also have a little checkbox here to show all items, which then shows the remaining components of our Keurig. It shows us how many are on hand, and we're not short any of those other components. So if we want to go ahead and select the checkbox for this circuit board, we could then go ahead and we can decide if we want to manufacture or purchase this component. Now we see the replenishment source here is manufacturing, so we could go ahead and manufacture that item. Now you could also go ahead and select the order type here, so we'll stick with regular order. You then have a production number that will be automatically created, and you could also define if you want to use the full quantity required here as well. You can override the warehouse and then select the location if you would like to do that also. So once we're happy with all of our settings here, we can go ahead and create that production order, and it's going to automatically manufacture those missing components for our Keurig here. So we see it's been completed, we got our green check mark, so we should be good to go to manufacture our Keurig. Now we're going to take a look at our material requirements planning module, which is up here on the sidebar. And here we have a look at all of the different pages and forms that are located within this module. So first we can take a look at our MRP preferences. And this is going to allow us to define a few settings here. One section being the exceptions, so we can define how many days before and after we would like to define for our MRP exceptions report, which we're going to be taking a look at. Then we have our forecasting and our MPS settings, as well as our general settings over here, with our one required setting, which is to define our plan order type. So in this case, we have a specific order type in this demo company, which is for MRP planning. You then have stocking methods, purchase calendar IDs, as well as a few different options down here. So once we're happy with our MRP preferences, we can take a look at a few of our other forms here. The first being forecasts. So you are able to define a forecast in the system here. So here's a good example of a forecast for the Keurig. So we see the warehouse that we've selected. It's a monthly forecast. We defined a quantity here, the beginning and ending date. So we see that this end date has already passed, which is why it's no longer active. And then you could define a customer as well. To add a new forecast, you just add a new row here. Really simple to fill in the information and then save right there. So we can actually quickly go ahead and do that. So we'll pick our Keurig, automatically pulls in our warehouse for us, define a quantity, and then it started with today's date and it'll default to be 1 week long. We now see that's active, so we can go ahead and save. Next, we're going to have our regenerate MRP screen here. And that's going to be really important because it's going to allow the system to totally refresh the material requirements planning. So it'll go out and look at all of your different financial documents. It'll look at your sales orders, your outgoing orders, and your current inventory levels to then update your MRP display here, which is going to show us what in the system is currently promised, when we need it promised by, how many we currently have, if we need to purchase it or manufacture it, and it gives us a really nice breakdown of a lot of data here for each of these important items that we're missing. So we see we have a few different pages here. Most of them are purchased items, but we do see we have some that are manufactured. So let's say we want to pick this reservoir inlet. We can then click on the manufacture button here, and we have a couple different choices. So the manufacture button would create our production order for us. So we see it pulls up all the information here. We could go and update that quantity if we wanted to do so, select our order type, and then automatically create the manufacturing orders directly from this screen. You can do the same with a purchase order as well as a transfer order. And then you have a detailed inquiry that you can view as well. So a really powerful tool here for looking at all of the items that you need to either purchase or manufacture all on one screen. And then we also have our MRP exceptions. Now this is going to show us a few different items here with the type of exception. Now it's telling you that this one right here we could choose to defer. We don't need it so we have the promise date here and the required date, but when it's coming in we don't quite need it by, so we could go ahead and defer that order to a later date if we wanted to do so. We could delete this order. This order of quantity of 3 is not necessary for this Keurig, so it gives you a lot of suggestions for the actions that you need to take for this item. Now this is also a great time to bring up the help function, so if you ever forget what any of these types here mean, you can quickly navigate to this question mark up here and it can take you directly to a help page for the exceptions, and then we see all of our exception messages. So here for the defer, it's telling us the supply order could be deferred to a later date. If we want to delete it, the supply order is unnecessary. So a quick little cheat sheet if you ever forget what exactly you're working with here, but again, a really powerful tool with a lot of data on one screen for you. So that is going to wrap up our quick look at material requirements planning, as well as the production order process and looking at our critical materials. If you have any other questions regarding material requirements planning or anything else in Acumatica, don't hesitate to reach out to the Mayer group and we would love to discuss it further with you. My name is Zach Mayer, and I do want to thank you for watching this tutorial, and we'll have more tutorials coming soon.